Hello, welcome back to HCS Weekly, your weekly destination for all things HCS. I'm your host, ShyWay. Another week and another week closer to Halo Infinite. I don't know about you guys, but I'm getting kind of antsy. It's a bit of a waiting game. It really feels like we've got a ways to go. Maybe because we haven't seen anything yet. We've seen like a short trailer of Halo Infinite. We've seen a model of what the next Xbox could look like, but it feels like everything is so far away, even though it's said to come out at the end of the year. Not really sure, what's happening, how we're going to get there, whether or not it's all going to be successful. It's exciting, but it's nerve-wracking. So today we're going to talk about it. We've got somebody who also is kind of outside the Halo space. He's very involved in the esports industry overall that has a lot of great knowledge on the subject. He'll be joining us soon. Before we get there, though, we have our news, of course, with MattyRums from DoomCombo.com. Let's take a look at the news. And there we go. How's it going, Matty?
Hey, what's up, dude?
I'm sitting there waiting. Not much, man. How you doing?
Not bad at all. Can't complain.
Yeah, we got more news again. Is there anything exciting this week? I kind of took a gander through it. I scrolled through a little bit and I saw we got a lot of events, like little mini events still happening, but not too much in the form of updates. So let's take a look.
Yeah, only updates for MCC. As most people already know, they removed Penance Team Slayer from Team Hardcore because no one liked it.
Right, and now we're talking about removing Beaver Creek Slayer as well, or Battle Creek Slayer.
Yeah, King of the Hill, please get rid of it.
Well, they're okay with King. The pro okay with King because that's more balanced. The issue is that the map is not fully symmetrical, right? Like you've got advantages on one side over the other that really come into play in Slayer. But in King, at least you get the hill on both sides, so people have to play with those advantages, disadvantages a little better.
Though all messed up.
I hate when I spawn and there's a guy sitting on top of the base right beside me. He's just
you'll be needles and then he spawns above you.
So aggravating for me. Yeah, so I understand that. And Penance is no better. Understandable that it's gone. It's it's a beautiful map. I love how it looks. It played well in Halo 1, but it's just kind of poorly balanced for competitive play and reach. It's just clearly one side is dominant, and that's all that matters.
But yeah. Other than that, in Halo 5, what's today? 28th? In 2 days, on the 30th, Halo CE anniversary throwback rotates in for Rock and Rail.
Okay.
And Warzone Turbo goes live. And then next week, on the 3rd, the Double XP playlist starts in the Doubles playlist.
So and like a Valentine's thing, probably?
Oh, yeah. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, but that makes sense.
Yeah.
That'll last all month, too.
Uh-huh.
And then one more change they're making. They've mentioned before that they're trying to, what's the word? I guess shrink their amount of playlists that they have coming in.
Trimming the fat.
Yeah. So they're moving the ranked free-for-all playlist from a permanent playlist into a rotational playlist.
They must be looking at the playlist and taking the ones that have the lowest population numbers, and I guess they start to shave it off slowly. But in the end of the day, I'm sure there's like a group of hardcore ranked free-for-all players who are going to be kind of upset about that. You know what I mean? There's always that one small group, so it's hard. You can't please everybody here. But I know that instead of that, they might be rotating in Mythic FFA. I don't see that in here.
I think it's starting with Mythic Rumble.
Mythic Rumble, which is some sort of Mythic FFA playlist type thing. Which
I think that's going to be the first ranked rotated rank FFA.
Okay, right. So yeah, kind of more options in the rotational side of things, because I know there was a group of people who loved the Mythic Arena playlist, and that was a rotation. Now we have CE anniversary that swaps it, and I guess it'll come back at some point. But nice to have a little more Mythic mixed in there in the free for all side of things. It's something. Hopefully everybody's happy at some point here. We're trying to make it work, or they are. What else we got?
DreamHack Halo announced the side tournament, which is free for all. It's obviously at DreamHack Anaheim. It's $5,000 prize pool. First place gets $3,000, second gets $1,500, and third gets $500. You don't need a team pass or anything, but you do need a festival pass, and you can sign up on site Saturday morning at the event. It's first come, first serve.
Yep.
And they also made a note that if you're competing, your team is competing in the 4v4 at the time you're
schedule conflicts.
You're supposed to compete in the FFA, but your team is still in the 4v4. They said you will not be able to compete in the FFA.
Right.
So I'm guessing they'll forfeit you.
Makes sense. And it's good that they have this. They should always have something like this. It's always, adds incentive for individual players to come in and compete and be part of the event in some way. It's hard to find that 4-man team that you're confident about, that you want to spend all that money, come in and compete. At least this gives you an alternative and you can experience the event. I know a lot of people were asking for this, so we got that now. And I just see tournament results now.
Yeah, that's it for news. Still not that much going on.
Fair.
But we do have
still waiting.
Yeah, we have a bunch of tournament results. First was the throwback throwdown number 5. First place went to Lethal, Kefri, Active, and Monster. Second place was Hysteria, Vetoed, K Madify, and Saiyan. And third went to Royal 2, Gigs, Uber Nick, and Spartan.
Right. Yeah, so this was the final throwback throwdown event, 10 grand. I didn't actually watch it because there was so much happening this weekend. I'm sure they had Smash, Genesis, they had the COD League event. But it's nice that was happening. I'm sure people had a good time with that last event, and it's a great, honestly, like $10,000 for these fun kind of weekly gigs are pretty awesome to see. It's unfortunately it's gone. Hopefully we get something else in between.
Yeah, I found I liked it because you saw people
from other walks of
esports. I was watching Kefri stream and I knew him from Overwatch.
Right. Yeah.
And then I'm talking in his chat and then I find out that he competed back, like I think it was Halo 3 tournament, and then he competed in Halo Reach.
There you go.
And then that was the end of it, but he knew because he mentioned he died with rockets and he called out that they need to be reloaded. And I said, wow, I can't believe he just said that for an Overwatch player.
Sure.
And so I mentioned it in the chat, and he said, no, he said, I used to play competitive way back.
Yeah.
I was like, wow.
There was one moment when I played with him in the BTB throwdown a couple weeks ago where he knows the glitch in Reach where if you're standing on the head of your teammate and then somebody kills the guy below you, then you're left floating like up in the air. You can just be floating with a sniper. He wanted to basically create this like human centipede of like our whole team standing and just like set them floating somewhere. Yeah, it's like we spent all this time trying to do it. It was pretty silly, but yeah, it's cool to see people from outside of Halo who have past experiences with it coming back into it, enjoying it, and then building a community hopefully of their own or getting people excited. Which I'm sure that's the objective is to get more people in. We also have the qualifier.
Yep, we had DreamHack Anaheim qualifier number 2. First place, again, went to Tox Gaming, Snakebite Lethal Royal 2 APG. Second place went to Incognito, which was Saiyan, Pistola, Neptune, and Renegade, which was interesting because the first tournament, they had Snipe Down instead of Neptune, I believe. And then they went from getting first rounded to getting second place, which I thought was interesting. But anyway.
Just by switching out Snipe Down, you're saying having Snipe Down brought them to second?
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. But anyway, and then you have in third and fourth, you had IDK, which is Ryan New Grain, King Nick, and Reliable, and also third, fourth, Unlimited, Eco Trippy, Penguin, and Stellar.
Right. Okay. So a lot of good players here, of course. You're right about Snipe Down. He's doing amazing things in Apex, though. It seems like he doesn't need to be in Halo. Right now, I saw his recent tweets and he got like second place. I'm not sure what the event was, but he's going somewhere for a bigger event now, and he's like, I think he's the only controller player that's still left standing here representing. So, really, really awesome to see that he's making so much progress. In the meantime, we also have SWAT Nation.
Yeah, and then we had our female-only tournaments. SWAT Nation had Melange SWAT, which was a 3v3. First place was Veronica, Minx, and Haloette. Second place was Chickwin, Queen, and Linda DPS. Then third was Command Station, Blood, Reina, and Foxy.
Nice. Yeah, so, and is that not the only one we had? We had the Female Pro League as well.
Yep, and on Sunday was the Female Pro League, $1,000 Halo Reach 4v4. First was Guardians Gaming, Queen, Golden Girl, Divine Damsel, and Command Station.
Right.
Second was UMC, which was Haloette, Blood, Rainer, Beyond Kiss, and Chickwin. I like that name, Chickwin. I think it's clever. Yeah.
Is that related to Mick?
I don't know.
Okay.
Either way, I think it's clever. And then third was E-Gorillas, Veronica, Minx, Janelle, and Dreamy Dream.
Nice. Great to see this. Honestly, I hope they keep that up. Just great to be supporting all different communities in Halo, and there's so many talented players in the female Halo community. I got destroyed by Command Station. It was like months ago, but She rocks.
She competes in a lot of stuff. I see her.
They're good players. Yeah. Yeah. So it's nice to see that. We have upcoming events as well.
Yeah, tomorrow, the 29th, Game Sharks and Penn Halo is holding a Halo Reach 2v2. That's a weekly series that they put on. And then Thursday, the 30th, they're actually going to have a Halo 3, they call it Throwback Thursday 2v2.
Okay.
So if you get your Halo 3 fix on Thursday.
Still got some Halo 3 kicking, at least until we get it on PC. I know people are waiting for that.
Yeah. And then Saturday, February 1st, we have DreamHack Anaheim qualifier number 3. If you're a Halo Wars player, Halo Wars Tournament Central is having a 2v2. Okay. And then if you live in Wichita, Kansas, or in the area, at the Wichita Esports Convention, there's a Halo Reach free-for-all 2v2 and a 4v4. That's Saturday and Sunday.
Awesome. Thank you, Matty, for finding all this stuff and keeping up with it. So we got all these events happening every single week. These are great for people. If you're in these local, scenes, you can access these events. And hopefully we just get more. We get bigger events coming off and just more exciting news for Halo. I know it's kind of a low point right now. We're still early in the year, and we're still just kind of waiting. We don't really know what's going on. I don't even know when CE's coming out. I think they got flight testing for CE coming up at some point soon, hopefully, that they've been teasing.
They're hoping, I think, to have internal testing done by the end of the month. And then we'll see what happens next month. Maybe we'll get something.
It's kind of like the next thing to look forward to. We get like a bit of a boom for each one of these games that kind of brings people back to Halo for a bit. But yeah, ultimately just a waiting game till Infinite. Thank you for the news, Matty, and I'll see you next week with more.
Yep, see you next week.
All right, guys, that's everything for the news. We now have our interview today. Let's talk about what Halo Infinite needs, what Halo needs right now to succeed in esports, to succeed in the future. I'm excited to bring Sean Spaceman Rogers onto HCS Weekly.
Hello, friend. How you doing, brother?
Not much, man. I'm doing good. How you doing?
Doing very good. Thank you for having me. I'm excited. I know I reached out to you last minute, and I'm glad we were able to put this together. There's so much we have to talk about.
Hey, you reached out to me, and I got back to you even more last minute. Literally, like the day before, I'm like, hey, do you want to make it happen?
Schedule's free. It's all good. We made it work.
Awesome, man. Free for now, but you seem to be pretty busy. You're casting everything, dude. Just recently, I think you put up an announcement for Rocket League. Do you even know a lot about? Like, I know Rocket League, as a basis is kind of like a simple game. You put the ball in the net, but there's a lot of tech behind the movements in this car. Like, do you know much about these games? Do you study them?
I mean, it's easier when you play them. Like I've been playing Rocket League since like it came out, because it was one of those games where I lived in a dorm, so everyone was just like, hey, Rocket League is a fun game. It's easy. Everyone can play it. Let's just play it together. So I mean, I've been playing it for years, and then eventually it was just like, oh, like I found an avenue to start working in it, and now I'm here. So it's basically what you cultivate over time. It's just you just figure it out. But yeah, the terminology actually wasn't too bad, because it's a lot of the same things you use in like soccer or FIFA. So it all works out. It was good though.
Right. I guess I just have this like incredible amount of respect for what you do, that you're able to kind of cast across all these different games. And maybe that's because I feel like I have this maybe like an anxiety about being wrong about something. I don't know. Like when I know Halo pretty well, and the stuff that I know in Halo I can explain well enough that I'm like good with it, but everything outside of Halo, it's like I should try desk hosting Apex, I should try Call of Duty. We'll talk about Call of Duty as well, but like I always kind of talk myself out of it because I'm afraid to be wrong. I'm afraid to come up there and look like I know something, and just the way that this esports industry works is they flame you so hard when you make a simple mistake, and then all of a sudden nobody wants to listen to what you have to say anymore. That's how it feels sometimes. I remember Golden Boy did hosting for Overwatch, and I know he got a little flack in the beginning, but then he pushed through, and now people love him. So it's kind of that state as well. But for you, you've been doing it forever. Like I checked your tweets, and you've got this pinned tweet on the top. Let's take a look at that tweet. This is something that, like, how do you know this 9 years ago, from like when you were 13 years old, you're an esports fan casting COD matches in 8's lobbies inside your bedroom? Like casting at 13 is just wild to me. And then at 22, you're casting COD champs in a stadium in Los Angeles, which is incredible. How do you know at 13? Like at 13, I just want to play video games. Like that casting is not even a consideration,
Sounds pretty trash. I knew right away it's not going pro.
It's not going to go far. I like the game.
It was, I mean, listen, I think there's like this between talent specifically, there's kind of this unspoken love that we have for what we do. It's a craft. It's really easy to look on the outside and think all they do is stand up there. But if you've ever taken time to actually watch someone perform, you watch them put words together, not skip a beat, not stutter, figure out how to tell the story, and also interweave between syllable count per sentence, not taking up too much time, figuring out the right thing to say, or how it's like literally like putting a painting together. And when I was a young kid, I was like, dude, this is like, at the time I was like, this is what I want to do, because being a player is pretty difficult. There's not really that much of an avenue in it, because it was like 2012, 11. There was nothing around. And over time I realized, holy crap, casting is actually a lot more difficult than I ever thought. But dude, like to your point, I mean, a lot of it's just going feet first, like just jumping into it. And I was kind of like you, like I was Call of Duty headed forever. And about like 3-4 years ago, I had a chance to do a different game, and it was Gears of War, and I was like, same thing. Like I didn't know if I would get the backlash. I didn't want to be known for anything other than what I did, because I was so proud of how hard I worked in COD, and I just said, screw it, just try it. Like the worst case scenario is that you just have another game under your belt. Did it. And I was like, why the hell have I been missing out and not expanding? And then ever since, just anything I can tackle, I'm tackling. And whether I think everyone who's ever done anything has gotten backlash or just been criticized. And to me, I'm like, okay, they didn't like that. Okay, like the worst thing they're gonna say is like, you suck. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'll just keep going. And if I get better, I just get better. Like it's literally just take that first leap, and once you're there, you'll realize like, holy crap, like there's so much more I can do, and it's about building a brand and building an identity. And then after that, man, you're off running. So don't be afraid of jumping in head first. You never know what's going to happen.
I know. You're right. You literally just have to jump in. You make mistakes along the way, but you learn from those mistakes, you become better, and you start to realize, why did I do this? Exactly. You're right. You're totally right.
We're talking about video games. Like, come on, it's easy.
I know, and I will do it. It's going to happen. I got to host. I really want to try hosting other games at some point. I think Apex is one that I'm kind of eyeing. COD looks pretty exciting as well. Yeah. I know you're coming from COD, and that's great to see, because COD just had their recent league event. I know you were watching that. What did you think?
Yeah. I loved it. There was definitely like just some issues in terms of like just text. I mean, that it happens at every event, and this,
I noticed that a lot of weird production issues.
Yeah, like the caliber of it was understandable. I mean, this is from an investor standpoint, this is a huge event. Like this is everything put together. They had only like 5 months to do it, so I obviously give them a pass on that, no question. I thought production wise, like player content, stream production, in terms of just the flow. First day was a little rough, but in general, production, it was fucking awesome. Sorry, I shouldn't cuss.
Go for it,
awesome.
Dude.
It was awesome. And then it got better throughout the weekend. The only issues I had were just some observing stuff that we made comments to some of our people that we know, and we said like, hey, like in terms of like third person and like cinematic.
Is that a new thing? Jumping out back third person and then going into, because that does kind of like take you out of that experience. Those hype moments in first person, you miss them sometimes when you jump out. You're just viewing from behind. No, I get it though. I get what they're trying to do, but
like the third, like they were trying it out, and it's totally cool.
Yeah.
But the problem is this was our first time seeing the game play competitively other than a scrim. So they were doing it in the first matches where I'm sitting there and I'm trying to act like I know the maps, because we've had to we've had to study them. Usually COD events, like the game comes out, you have 3 months to learn everything, and then boom. And so I'm sitting there like, okay, how is the game going to play based on what I've learned? And I couldn't follow, because I was like, okay, they're jumping third person. I don't know what's going on. But like, it was basically just, hey guys, please stop going to third person between gunfights. Third person only works when this situation, like in S&D, when this is working, when this is working.
Right, when you're showing the transition from like one cap to the next or something.
Exactly. Like the cinematics and stuff like that, it works in its own way, but they knew after day one, we overdid it, and then they went back to first person, and it was everything was. But yeah, I mean, other than like basically that, I liked most, if not everything, about this event. I thought they tried to do as much as they could to get people's eyeballs on the screen, and I thought it worked well. London's coming up next, which the crowd there is insane, so I'm excited for that. But yeah, I thought they did a good job.
It's interesting, like, being a Halo fan and looking at stuff like this. They're in this experimental phase where they're trying to figure out what works, and then they can kind of shoot off from there. And it makes me think, like, could Halo ever be this? What would this be like? For Halo? It's cool. It's interesting, and Yeah, it wasn't without its issues. You talked about the going out into third person, also the face cams as well, messing around with the face cams. I don't know if you saw where they would put the camera in and then they didn't know if they wanted it or something. They had the wrong guy and then they swapped it out and came. It was a little rough for a bit. But once they nail it, I think they're really gonna kind of hit a stride for it. It looks like it was YouTube exclusive as well. Is that a thing? Was it?
It was YouTube. It was YouTube and MLG.com. I know that.
MLG.com.
Like because because YouTube and MLG had like a partnership, and I think the YouTube deal, can't go too much into it, but I think the YouTube deal was done it was supposed to be done like 2 weeks before the event actually came out, and I think it was done last minute. So they didn't have a lot of time to market it. But yeah, the YouTube thing was basically Activision is moving over with Overwatch and all of their titles to YouTube because of their deal now. But because so many people wanted the MLG account to stay live because Twitch is completely separate from MLG, they were like, okay, that's fine. We'll keep it. So YouTube has been their number one platform now because Activision's completely pushed them over there. So
does that mean it's not going to end up being broadcasted on Twitch in the future? Like really?
For as long as the deal, For as long as the deal goes, I think. Yeah, obviously, I don't think it will. It would be very rare unless somebody else.
Maybe that's where the return on investment comes from, though, too, right? Like maybe that deal gives them some sort of guaranteed return. Because I'm wondering, how do you get a return on investment for all these $25 million team acquisitions and the cost of like the league and the events? And not to get into all of it, but it's like, I don't know where it's coming from.
The YouTube, I think, really was just like their thinking was Call of Duty's already mainstream. It's on. If you watch it on Twitch, you're a hardcore fan, which is it's 100% true. If you go to find Call of Duty on Twitch as an event, you're hardcore. That's why you're there. Call of Duty, and like if they put it on YouTube, people are guaranteed to be on YouTube if they're not watching Twitch. So odds are, it's like you put them on the front page. Someone who's a Call of Duty fan who's never watched esports, it's on the front page. They might tune in. So it was kind of a jump. Them basically saying, let's mash all the communities together. That's really what they're trying to do. They're trying to bring everyone together, which I don't hate. I think that's good.
Yeah. It's interesting just seeing esports kind of make this transition into like legitimacy kind of in the way that sports have. And it's happening slowly but surely. It's getting there. And it's good to see some Halo talent there as well. We had Shotzi, Frosty. Shotzi struggling a little bit, though. No, we know he's so talented, right? So I think the expectations are through the roof. But seeing him go neg, I think he was like 9 and like 30 or something rough. Like he's so fast and aggressive, and when it's just not working, and I'm sure he'll be fine when he's under
Clay. Clay can teach anyone how to play. Like it's the question with Shotzi and Frosty was never about the transition. It was about like the sophomore year. Like how do they pick up on the small nuances and timings of the esport they're in? That's every esport. It was never everything in that game exactly. It's all about the micro information that that you don't verbally say. Like same thing with Halo and every other esport. You know certain things about like in-game metas and in-game timings or strategies that you don't need to think, okay, I do this and this and this. Like you just know spatial awareness on the map. That's all that stuff is minute detail that it was just about, we know they can shoot. That's not the question. They're both world champions. It's just literally about, okay, second year in the league, how have they adapted to everyone else around them? Have they risen up with the talent, or are they sort of still figuring out their flow in the game? Give them time. It was the first event. It was a showcase event. They'll be totally fine. They have Krim, they have Clay, Illy, who has been around forever as an AM, and now he can teach Shotzi some things. Like he'll be fine. The people are freaking out. Just relax.
Yeah, and it's also good to see the mindset of his teammates, at least on Twitter, and the way that they responded. Yeah. Like, Clay, it's all like working on their own personal improvement. They recognize they all made mistakes where it is. Like, it's not like there's any focus on a specific player or somebody's the problem. It's how can we grow as a team and be the best version of this team that we need to be, right? So kind of that getting that synergy. And this was really, I think it's a trial event in a way for everyone. It's just kind of a tester, and things are just getting started, and exciting to see where it goes. In the meantime, Halo kind of struggles to survive here. Halo's let's take a look at a Halo related tweet. We're gonna be looking at a lot of Moses tweets today because Moses has been keeping it real.
I love Moses
in the world of Halo. Let's look at the population of Halo Reach on Steam and on Twitch as well. You can see a graph here. I'm not sure how big it is for you guys. 50 days since the MCC release, and if you look at the graph, it starts, obviously it's super high when all the streamers come in, but now, right, towards the tail end here, you got 525 viewers on Twitch. I know there's a little bit more. I think of the tweet that shows the Steam performance, and I think it was like 6,000 players on Steam at the same time. It's rough. It's not completely unexpected. What do you think? Looking at something like that, we've had a big kind of downward trend recently.
I think it's natural. Do I think it's good? No, but I think there's a couple of different ways to dissect this. Number one, natural depreciation and viewership over time is going to happen. Whatever esport you're watching, unless a game first drops, which in that case you usually see a higher return. But in general, we have to look at the variables here. It's a almost decade old game.
Right.
It's not the most popular. It didn't launch as a full game. It launched as a campaign and then like a couple maps and modes. So there's not a whole lot of incentive other than playing those. And the promotion of it was really written on nostalgia. It was written on, hey, Reach is coming back. Now, me personally, I'm like Halo 3 is my favorite game of all time. And when Reach came out, I wasn't into it. I wasn't playing Halo competitively. I was following it, but I wasn't playing it. So I actually enjoyed Reach. I enjoyed the campaign. I thought as a casual fan, I loved it. But I understand obviously that there are issues clearly. But from looking at it now, I'm like, for me, nostalgia can only ride that so hard.
Exactly.
You can't from a business perspective. Like if they were re-released Black Ops 2, same thing would happen, even though it's a better game, in my opinion. Like, it can only get you so far. And that's kind of that's the main thing they're running into is that, okay, we've only released a couple modes, a couple maps. We have campaign.
Well, they got most of it. They got most of Reach, at least. They're missing Forge and Theater, which I think are two really big things. Forge is huge. I
spent so much of my time in Forge on that's like the most time I've ever played Forge in Halo history. Like, that's massive because that keeps people playing. You keeps friends getting together at late night playing maps and stuff like that. Like, and then some of the event, like just the things they've thrown have been great, like trying to promote the game, but it's really hard to do that when the nostalgia's died out, and now you're trying to keep a game afloat that universally by Halo fans is considered not the top tier. And it's okay. That's just what happens. So what do you do? They have to find a way to be able to market this a little bit better because the drop off is expected. It's about how you recover from that and change the direction is what's really important. I hope that they know what they're doing because if we're going to play this game for a year, there's got to be a lot of incentive for people to watch.
Right. You're absolutely right. And you're right. It's a nostalgia kick. So it's understandable that it drops off, shortly after. So even if they did everything perfect with the launch and how the game played, I don't think it would be too much higher. It would be higher. I think more people would be playing it. But yeah, you're right. At the end of the day, it's a 10-year-old game. The competition's tough at this point. They can't expect it to just kind of, be at the top. There's another tweet that was in the responses to Moses, and this was a good example of what was wrong. There's no crossplay. Updates more than once a month, so getting more updates, better mouse and keyboard support, which that was very divisive. We had the whole Summit conversation a couple weeks ago, and then Forge and mod tools. Now people are modding. I'm not sure if there's an issue with mod tools or whatever, but Forge, of course, a massive mode. But yeah, the mouse and keyboard support. I mean, if you're going to bring it over to PC, and there's this big issue with the aim assist mouse and keyboard debate. That's going to be tough for the hardcore PC community, that's where you get all your biggest streamers and personalities, like people like Summit, that are having more trouble kind of gravitating towards it. So those are some of the big things that contributed. Crossplay is huge as well.
It is. That's just especially now more than ever. It's massive. It's so important. And there's very few games that can survive without it. Unfortunately, right now, Halo Reach is not that game. So you need to have some form of crossplay, even if it's just. I honestly would take laggy servers for a month if it meant they were at least out and they would be able to work on them over time and fix it. But
something you can switch on and off. So if you switch it on, you get the laggy whatever. Maybe there are issues associated with it. It's in beta, but it's possible for you to try it or something, right?
Right, and then at least you have something to pinpoint. Like, okay, it's on, at least it's on. Number one, we'll take a small victory. Number two, how do we fix it? And then that's when the dev team uses their R&D to fix it. But for me, that's the thing. And there's incentive. There's got to be incentive for people to want to play it. I saw a couple of it was from Lethal and Paul Snakebite. There was a couple of tweets about, I didn't read too deeply into it, so if I'm wrong, correct me, but it was about, I believe, aim assist with keyboard and mouse, not keyboard and mouse, with controller, and something about it being a little bit different to transition for keyboard and mouse. There was some kind of aiming that was wrong with it. It was I don't know if they updated a patch that was modern curve or something like that. They were talking about just I believe they were just talking about like the fact that aiming just doesn't feel as smooth as it should on keyboard and mouse, and something like that. But
I've heard a bunch of things, like whether it's the small latency or little jitters and stuff too. If you have a higher uncapped FPS, then you get a bit of jitter on the reticle when you're aiming, which has been a little weird. So people are capping it at 60 to make it smoother, which is not ideal for a PC FPS anyway. Yeah, it might be.
That might be. I'm probably like blurring memories, but the point is that when, first of all, if I'm wrong, correct me. I don't believe they've come out and said it's got to be either controller or keyboard and mouse. They've just kind of left it up to people to decide what they want to play for competitive.
Yeah, so the upcoming tournament is open to whatever. It can be a keyboard and mouse, or it can be controller. If we get keyboard and mouse players, that'd be exciting. Though I feel like it's somewhat unlikely in the top teams to get a maybe Lethal will make a switch depending on how confident he's feeling.
I would say he might, but that's the thing. Like if you're gonna have both options, you have to make sure they're both working flawlessly, because that is the crux of your ability to play the game. Is this. And then with the upcoming event, I like the fact they're leaving it open. I still think, and this is my personal opinion, like I think that you should be using PCs to optimize Halo and then using controllers on them. That's just me. But there needs to be, because we've seen, and just from what I've seen people saying back and forth, this way's good, this way's good, this way's good. There needs to start being some cohesive identity between what the pros are looking at and what the AM community is looking at, because it's kind of been, I know this might not sound like a huge deal, but it's kind of been left up in the air. So let's say a new guy's coming in and they want to get into it, and they're told, hey, you can either use keyboard or mouse or controller. They're probably going to think, okay, well, if I use keyboard or mouse, but these guys use a controller, is there a difference, or is there an advantage? And if there needs to be some stability there for them to see an advantage, for them to continue to play competitively, if that makes sense. Maybe a bit of a stretch of a thought, and if it is, apologies. But I just feel like it's kind of all these kind of small issues are kind of the reason why Reach is having trouble right now in terms of people taking it legitimately as a title for the next year. Right. It came out, and I guess what I'm trying to say is there's all these small little pinpoints that over time we've come to see, and we're just like, it just kind of delegitimizes the game as it's continued. And now we're sitting here a month before an event, and we're like, okay, where do we really stand with this game? Because not much has happened, and nobody really seems to be enjoying themselves. So what exactly is the deal? And I'm not saying they're not, but it's just from an outside.
Well, you're not 100% wrong, man. I mean, like if you look at some of the pros who are competing, will they tell you Reach is their favorite title to compete in? Probably not. You know, it's a hold me over in a lot of ways, and that's the thing, is you can't really blame 343 just considering what they're working with here at the same time. And it's all testing ground. Once again, it's like, okay, these are the issues that we're having. This mouse and keyboard versus controller thing, this can't be a massive, it can't be as big of an issue as it is now coming into Infinite. Like Infinite, they got to fix something. They got to smooth something over. There's got to be if maybe there's a playlist that has different aim assist tuning or something that kind of makes it more viable. But you're right. If you're a mouse and keyboard player, you're a PC player coming into Halo, there's a lot of barriers to entry. There's like, okay, well, controllers are really strong. This game's 10 years old. There's other awesome games on the market. The prize money isn't there. There's not online cups with prize money. There's a lot of things that are disincentivizing people to get into it and play. And that's understandable. Exactly. There's other stuff that's going on in the meantime, like throwback throwdown tournaments, which I think these are great. I think there's been a little bit of confusion over, where, like, I guess the priorities here, this throwback tournament, like who's running it? Where's this money coming from? Why isn't it going into the AM scene? This is another Moses tweet. Let's see what he says here. It says, I think the throwback throwdown tournaments are a great idea and good for our scene, but it seems totally inappropriate that the prize pool is equal to that of a LAN event. It is important to try to reach new viewers 100%, but it's more important that your AM community feels valued. Interesting diagram here. What's the there's the full like rest of the arrow. Is that like the rest of the casuals? Is that like I don't know. Anyway,
I think what he's saying is your game is basically right now, like, other than casual Halo fans, their return has really been like the pro involvement. Because if you think about it, at the end of the day, and this goes for all, this is more often than not, this is correct for Call of Duty, it's correct for Halo, and it's correct for most esports. When the game is suffering and it doesn't feel like it's at its peak, who are the people that keep it alive? Usually casual will be like, oh, this game's dumb, and maybe they return it back into GameStop or they play something else. Sure. Who are the people who are on it every single day playing it because, one, they have to, Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's what that is the head of the arrow, which is the most important part, is literally keeping the rest of this alive. Not saying that it may look, if Halo's different, fair play. And it could be that way. Because I know there's a lot of casual Halo fans, and I was one of them, myself included. But it is so important to have a strong amateur community that is a cyclical seeding ground into your pro development, that the pros then have immediate feedback and response on the community itself. Like, there's so many layers to esports and how to be successful in it. This is one of them. You need to have this system of you reap what you sow, which is effort and commitment, and the ability to support your players, the players who are giving your game an ability to be seen on the big networks. They're giving this streams viewership. They are bringing in personalities. They're bringing in investor money. Like, there's all these things that need to be taken into account. And Noah's 100% correct. Like, these throwback tournaments are fantastic. I think they're great for content wise. There's got to be more though. Like, there has to be a commitment. If you want to take yourself seriously as an esport, you have to have a commitment to your pros first. And then from there, it'll trickle down to the amateurs, and you can do different things with them. But there has to be a commitment to your pros, because when you have that and you have their trust, they'll do whatever they have to do to play this game. You have to commit yourself somewhere.
Yeah, I think there must be like a disconnected communication or something. Like, I don't think it was like with the Throwback Throwdown tournament. I think that was completely separate. Like, it's by Microsoft and by Halo overall. Like, that's kind of where it came from, where the prize money came from. Yeah. And we got some lethal. Oh, did you see the shot, by the way? I've got ADD disgusting on this all of a sudden. He just bank shot that one off the floor to get that kill. That was what Summit was talking about a couple weeks ago. That shot is disgusting.
I can never do that.
Well, he was surprised by it too.
I would be losing my mind.
Yeah. And now I'm trying to figure out where I was.
But like you were talking about, this was a Microsoft.
Right, exactly.
There's got to be a distinction between that.
So I think it's good that they're doing this, and it's Microsoft. They got tons of money. Throw $10,000 at this event, get more people invested in Halo Reach. That's awesome. But I think what it did, and what they weren't expecting, is it just kind of showcased what they weren't doing on the esports side. It just made that side of the community recognize that there's no support here. There's no online cups. So it makes you think, what do they value? I guess Halo. Do they not see value in the esports side of things? Do they only see value in kind of bringing in these new viewers to play the game, and they know that Reach is just kind of a temporary thing. The next thing's going to come out. So it's weird being in this interim period when it's almost obvious that like the esports side of things isn't the primary component right now. They're just kind of keeping it alive with the defibrillator, just you give it a little hit every couple months.
I agree with you. There's actually, I just thought of something really interesting. And I think this applies to like sports, applies here, especially. This is a time when, and again, like everything we say, for if anyone is actually watching who works at this company or works at 343, works for Halo, like when they have a say over esports, again, all the things we're saying is because we love the game and we want, these are changes that we've observed in other games that they've made that have been successful that can be implemented here. And this is something I think is important. This is the time to be going absolutely ham on support systems for the amateurs and pros.
There's still a huge opportunity here. Like, I know it's Reach, but
this is called, if this is your downtime between you're waiting for the release of Infinite and you're basically having a year of how, this is where you don't want to lose viewers, because think of this as your practice. Like Halo Infinite comes out, that's game day. That's the day where everything comes into fruition. This is
too
practice.
late at that point to make mistakes.
Exactly. This is the time when, like, rest in peace, Kobe Bryant. This is the time when Kobe Bryant would be working his ass off in practice as if it were a real game, because he's saying everything you do here, you build only a positive foundation for when you go out and it's game time. This is where they should be working twice as hard as they would on Halo Infinite release, because if you build a successful foundation during the lull time, you can only have positive results when it's actually time to launch the league with Halo Infinite, with a new game, new hype, new fans. This is the moment when they should be, even if they're like, oh, we don't know if we want to take a risk with this AM community. We don't know if we want to take a risk with pros. We like just having a couple of content creators in there for the stream to get views. This is the time to be putting in resources and doing everything you can, working overtime. I don't care how hard it is, because if you want Halo to be successful, this is the moment where you can have the most mistakes and it won't cost you. But if you do something right, it will reap benefits.
Take those bold risks and try to get the pro-am community more engaged. Yeah. I mean, they fumble, but they're trying. At least they're trying. They're building that foundation. But we're not feeling that right now. Sorry to cut you off there.
No, 100%. Right.
Yeah. And I mean, that's kind of exacerbated by the tweet from Moses as well. When he kind of compares the two Twitter pages, you can see that the disconnect. We'll show another tweet here. There you go. Reason number 57,362. I can't read, guys. I didn't even need to read that, but you can see the tweet here. You've got the Halo main Twitter where they're supporting the Microsoft Store tournaments, which makes sense. You would support that on Halo's main Twitter. It's run by Microsoft. It's this is an important initiative. But then you have the qualifiers for their competition that's coming up, and HCS, only Halo Esports is going to support that. Way less followers versus the 1.2 million. So the potential reach that they could have with these qualifiers that builds up to their events, that get people excited for their upcoming DreamHack Anaheim event. There's big missed opportunities here, and it makes me think, is it because, it's UGC run, so it's a third party, maybe there's a risk associated with, broadcasting, a third party. So then why even have, do it in-house then or something, or get a better relationship going with these third party organizations so that they can thrive and Halo can thrive from all the time and energy that we're putting into having the qualifiers in the first place. It just seems like everything's kind of halfway there.
Yeah. No, they leveraged out they leveraged out part of their esports responsibility to a third party that obviously is trusted for the right reasons, and that's the initiative. Is that, hey, our division of Halo Esports is going to be taking ownership over obviously the majority of Halo Esports in terms of promotions, marketing, strategy, public relations, and we've given part of it to these grassroots programs. They're going to put on events. They will qualify into our actual tournaments. But when if you're comfortable enough doing that, and you're comfortable enough with the department that you've set up to run the esports, and that department's comfortable enough hiring the third parties, why is the main company not comfortable enough promoting it? And I get that. I get you don't want to scare away people, and you don't want people to think that Halo has now become a full-time esport and there's no casual. I get that, but that doesn't actually work when it comes to marketing the game on your Twitter feed, because you're assuming that everyone. First of all, number one rule of marketing: you don't assume that every customer is the same. And if you do that, you're assuming everyone's gonna have a bad reaction to somehow seeing all these, Halo unrelated but Microsoft thrown Halo events. These are the tweets that should be promoted on the main Halo Twitter. These are the Halo Twitter should be a gathering space for casuals, content creators, and competitive. And then the HCS should be obviously competitive driven, because that's what it's there for. And the Halo should just be the main Halo Twitter is an extension, or the HCS Twitter, is an extension of the Halo Twitter. So the Halo Twitter should be supporting and retweeting and doing all this stuff that the normal HCS does. It's, again, come to the Halo Twitter. Oh, I see there's a competitive event. How do I get more info? Oh, let me go to the actual HCS that's dedicated to this stuff. And you'll never know who you'll turn on. You could turn on a casual fan to competitive and they had no idea they liked it. There can't be a disconnect between two parties. I know it's not just obviously I know other games do this. They're not as stingy with retweeting and stuff, but even COD has the main Call of Duty Twitter, which comes out with a game every single year, will still retweet events because hey, our game is having an event. Go watch. They understand that the hardcores will go and the casuals will maybe watch, but if they don't, they'll ignore the tweet. There has to be, again, connection at the top has to happen. There has to be some form of synergy here for it to produce positive results for everyone else. That has to happen. If you have two split personalities on each Twitter, how are people going to be able to really figure out where the connection is and where Halo's going?
I completely agree, man. And that's why, kind of framing this discussion saying the wait for Infinite is exciting, but it's nerve-wracking at the same time, man, because I feel like a lot of us are kind of left in the dark on a lot of things. Events are happening, but the planning for the events is a little, off at times. We don't really know all the information. We don't know, okay, when are the qualifiers happening? Or we find out a week before or something, or when so it just seems like everything's kind of, the ball's just rolling and they're just trying to slow it down a little bit or keep up.
Oh, there goes a qualifier. Oh, here goes we need something
disorganized, unfortunately. Yeah. There needs to be transparency. And I mean, talking to Tashi last year and saying that we're going to have a roadmap. That sounds amazing. That sounds like what we need is just knowing what's coming next, and some level of organization, and especially for that hardcore community like these AM players who want to know, okay, is it worthwhile to spend all my time and energy grinding Halo? What's next? What's coming next? And that's the big question for most people right now. Most Halo fans, they're depressed, to be honest. You look at Halo and you're like, shit, like, is this worth my time right now? Is all the time and energy I'm spending in Halo Reach, is that going to get me in anything? Or am I preparing for something that's going to flop, or is it going to blow up? Is it going to succeed? So I can understand, the feelings, and I understand that people are kind of worried and excited at the same time. And it makes you wonder, like, and Moses, here's another Moses tweet. Is Halo Infinite going to come out this year, or is it going to be delayed? And that's what he put it. It seems like everybody's talking about it. So let's see how the community feels. Do you think Halo Infinite gets delayed? And it's got looks like more people think yes than no.
I voted yes.
You voted yes?
Yeah, I voted yes on it.
I think it's hard to tell because it's coming out.
Actually, it was more of me saying I want it to be delayed. Not I thought not.
You want it to be delayed.
I wanted it to be. Yeah, I do. I know that's
We've been waiting for so long.
Trust me. Like, when I tell you that I stayed up to watch the Halo 4 trailer and then I lost my brains when I saw it, like, I am as eager for Halo Infinite as anyone else on this planet, trust me. But when the game hasn't shown you anything and we haven't heard anything, and it's been like 2-3 years, and again, we are
been more than 2-3 years.
We're really realistically like 8-7 months out before, again, marketing should come in. We are actually, it should come in now. We're 8 months out before the game drops. It is a new age of Halo. There's been all this hopeful hype. There's been all these things promised. We know literally jack shit. We don't know anything. We don't know
the Infinite trailer that we got last summer.
We don't know what gameplay looks like. We don't really know how the mechanics work. We don't really know the lore, which is a big thing for me. Like, there's so much stuff that, again, your game, like, I've seen more gameplay from Cyberpunk than I've seen from Halo Infinite.
Yeah.
And this game is going to be the foundation of competitive Halo for the next 3, 4, 5 years. Like, this is at this point, if something's wrong with the game, like, if they're not ready for it, please, for the love of God, delay it. I don't care if it's delayed for 6 months. If it'll make the game perfect, delay it. Like, I understand people were like, we don't want to wait. Would you rather have a game come out that's broken and not yet finished, and then over time they try to finish it, but you're losing interest as you're playing it because it's not ready? Or would you rather
want to play that game?
Months? Exactly. Would you rather wait for 6 months and have a finished, polished game, whatever it happens to be, come out, so that way the only thing you can really complain about is maybe like you don't like certain things? Like, I'd rather, honestly, if they said we need 8 more months to finish the game, take it. Like, finish the game, make it a Halo game worth playing and buying at $60. I'm totally cool with that. Don't give us a half-assed product when you've said you've been working on this for years and we don't even have a trailer yet. Like, we need something. It's coming out. Where's the gameplay?
Yeah. Dude, it's not unheard of. It's not unheard of to have this little information and still have a game released in the same year. Remember Fallout 4, for example? Was it Fallout? I think it was Fallout 4. We heard nothing, I think. And then all of a sudden, summer before the game comes out, they show gameplay and they're like, oh, and by the way, it comes out this fall. And people just lost their shit. And unfortunately, I don't think Fallout 4 was the favorite Fallout game in the series. But it's still 100% possible that because this is the only reason why I think it's still going to come out this year, and it's because it's coupled with the launch of the new console. There's it's just shrouded in so much secrecy. This is so huge. And that's the thing is, like, if it's coming out with the console, if this is like your impressions of the next Xbox are basically are coupled with how Halo does. Like, if Halo's not going well, then the next Xbox as like a product, I think kind of it's like the launch of Xbox One and the fumbles that they had, in E3 coming into it. It's huge. So I think they're just kind of keeping it under wraps, and hopefully there's just so much attention, the attention that it deserves going into prepping this game and making it what we want. As far as you saying, like, oh, if it comes out and people don't like it, we are kind of screwed in that category. Like, I'm sure they'll have like a beta, but let's say they have a summer beta. Like, what are they going to change? If there's a big, which I don't think there'll be
99%
glaring problems.
Their mind is made up. People think that when betas come out, like, oh, we can drastically overhaul this.
There's nothing that's going to change.
Like, you understand that, like, the only things they fix are like minute tweaking of like gunfire or like hitboxes. Literally just net coding. Everything else, the game itself is that's what you get. If you don't like it, too bad. Like that's what you get. So that's why everyone I think is asking for gameplay, because one,
we want to know what we're going to get.
You literally have a whole fan base on your back. Like this, it's literally like it's like they threw up the last shot, buzzer clicked, and we're waiting for the ball to drop in the net, and we're like, what's going to happen? That's where we're at right now. I only have an Xbox because of fucking Halo. That's the only reason I still have one. And we need to see something, because people are like, okay, show us something so we can either get excited for it, or we still have some time to maybe convince you. They won't, but it's right now, like, just you need to. It shows. I think what it shows people is that if you're not willing to show us gameplay, this could be somewhat someone's thinking. They're like, oh, yeah, exactly. They're like, oh, they won't show us gameplay, so maybe they're not too excited about it. You know what I mean? It's just, these are things, again, I'm looking from a pure esports perspective. If you want my opinion, somebody who's been in the industry for a decade, who has a degree in marketing, if you want people to get excited for your game, you have to market it correctly. Not showing somebody the product and saying that 2 years ago it's coming out 2020, and we've been waiting for 2 years to see something, and we've seen nothing, and the only trailer we got was a cinematic trailer that was in-game footage, but not really. Like, show us something.
In-engine footage.
Like, if somebody came to you and said, hey, I have this great game coming out. It's coming out at the end of this year, but it's going to completely change the way you knew Halo or insert whatever genre, but I won't show you any of it, and you pay me $60 and I'll only show you it when it comes out. Like, would you trust them to be like, oh yeah, for sure, like I would love to play it? Like, no, you need to be sold on the idea. If you're selling us in the idea that Halo's coming back to his roots with the art style, with the music, which by the way, phenomenal. If you want us to buy into this and then get people on board for esports, we need something. We need something to look forward to. Like, because it's honestly, if they gave us like a minute of gameplay, I guarantee you it would keep us for 6 months happy. We'd be like, oh yeah, let's go Halo Reach. Fuck it, we're getting more of it. Like,
or if people don't like it, that's 6 months of stress though too. And you know what I mean? That's the risk that they run by showing it early. Let's say they decided to show it last summer. They showed gameplay, right? Like, and some massive group of people hated it or something. Then it's a whole fight. You know what I mean? Like, there's a whole slew of issues that come from that as well. I kind of understand the other side of the coin.
Yeah.
But you're right. It's close for comfort. It's too close for comfort. We've seen nothing, and that's scary. So that's kind of a big thing. It's not out of the realm of possibility that it comes out this year, and it's great. But now that it's taken this long, whatever they show us is kind of basically what we're going to get. So hopefully we like it. And hopefully whatever it is, going to get updates and improve over time. Because honestly, Halo 5 being fundamentally different from the classic style of Halo, like, yes, people don't like that, but there's a group of hardcore fans who like how Halo 5 turned out. It's a different flavor, whatever. The biggest issue with Halo 5 wasn't necessarily that in the end. It was updating the game. It was the support that the game got. That was really the kicker.
Halo 5 is one of the most complex shooters I've ever seen. Like, it's not like, for me, like, I enjoyed playing it. It wasn't for me classic Halo that I loved, but Halo 5 like now is literally, if you take away the Halo name, it is a phenomenal game. Just honestly, mechanically wise, like, it's one of the best shooters.
It is one of the craziest, like, most technical shooters on the market.
Just, it is.
The fact that it's under the Halo brand. Shooter. Kind of heard it. Yeah.
Halo 5. I read a comment. Someone said Halo 5 blows. Halo 5 blows because it's named Halo 5. If it wasn't named that, if they made it like if they literally said Halo 4, and then they said, like, this, just for sake of argument, this is the Spartan program, part of the Halo universe, people would be like, oh, this is lit. Like, it literally, people only think it sucks
like a side game.
Yeah, but it's the game. Fundamentally, the game itself is not bad at all. It's a very good shooter. It really is. It takes skill. It takes timing. It takes understanding. It's got Halo elements that I love. Yeah. Is it a great Halo game? As a Halo game, probably not. But is it really good shooter to understand and watch and cast? Fuck yeah, it's amazing. But again, even now, like you said, and this all harkens back to having time to develop the game. The updates is what killed it. Now Halo 5 is the best shape it's been in, but it's too late. You've already been out of the cycle. Like, Halo Infinite needs to come out of the gate swinging. It needs to come out in perfect polished form. Again, you can take updates over time. That's totally fine. But you can't come out and be like, okay, we're retuning movement. We're retuning guns after the first week. There's a day one patch. There's the first month patch. You cannot have that shit, because that will make people lose faith
patch to fix things. Yeah. But if it's like adding improvements and stuff.
Exactly. Like, it's just there's so much that they have basically riding on them. I know they can do it. I know they can, but they have to listen to us when it comes to like talent, players, pros especially. Pros will tell you how to make a good competitive game, and then the casuals will funnel into that. Like Black Ops 2 is a perfect example of this. The pros had a good say in like in terms of just how, in terms of feedback on guns and maps, and then obviously Vonderhaar, who ran creative design for Treyarch, he knew what pros wanted, so thank God for that. But like they knew what pros wanted. They gave it to them in terms of map design, weapons, movement, everything.
Not for the new COD though.
No, we don't talk about that. But I'm talking about specifically Black Ops,
Black Ops 4.
Specifically the peak of Black Ops 2 and Black Ops 3. Yeah, for Black Ops 2, even Black Ops 3. For Black Ops 2, the peak of, in my opinion, like competitive Call of Duty in terms of like viewership and hype.
Okay.
They got the developers knew what the pros wanted. The pros, the maps came out pro friendly. The guns, the movement, the timings, everything pro friendly. It was the most successful casual and competitive Call of Duty game ever made because the pros loved the game and it was competitive first. Like when you played each map, people played it like they were playing a pro scrim because that's how you were supposed to play it because it was that well done. And the casuals eventually got better over time and they adapted to it, and you could still play casual in the game, but there's a reason that when pros tell you on Twitter, talk to us, we know how to make your casual fan base successful and we know how to make a good pro game. They know what they're talking about. If you have a good pro system and a good game surrounded or it's made for pros in terms of maps and weapons, that will make a better casual scene. I promise you, it works. Like, just listen to us. So that's what my friend. Just listen. Just listen.
Honestly, I think I always harken back to Smash Bros. Melee. I feel like Smash Bros. Melee was a perfect example of them doing it on accident, making a game that was designed that's perfect for the pro scene. Because when you have a community of like pros and AM players, this is the most passionate, most vocal area of your community, basically, at least in the multiplayer side of things. And when they love the game and they have their amazing moments and the whole community loves and supports, like that's the beauty of Melee is it's like the pros love the game and the pros talk about how they love the game and then they get people passionate about it and the whole community loves the game and it grows this community that won't die no matter how many Smash Bros games come out. Nintendo could not kill them, you know what I mean? And maybe that's a problem too. Maybe companies want a game that's only going to hold your attention for 3 years so they can throw the next one out there, and this is a whole other discussion. But yeah, I think the biggest thing is learning from their mistakes in Halo 5 in terms of updating the game quickly. And bringing up Halo 5 once again is the marketing, I think, was one of the biggest mistakes with Halo 5 when it launched. Do you remember the Hunt for Truth campaign and everything?
Yeah, I remember watching it on TV because I'm huge. I play Halo campaign first before I touch multiplayer. So I was watching it like, oh, what's going on with the Chief? Like, what's going on? Because I enjoyed the Halo 4 campaign. I will not speak about anything else about that game. But I was like, okay, like, what's going on with Chief? Like, ooh, like, mysterious, this big, giant thing. Oh, my God, somebody's hunting him? What's going on? And then we got the game, and then it wasn't really that. And I was okay.
That's the risk that you run too, right? So it's like Halo Infinite.
Just tell us the truth. Just tell us. That's like this is. I made bullet points of things like I in terms of Halo in general that I wanted to eventually, whether it's today or some other time, talk about. And one of the things I say here is that it's a two-way system. Feedback by listening to talent like us, like we know what we're talking about, and being transparent and making changes where changes are needed. Like telling people straight out of the gate what your game is, telling the community what's coming, whether it's esports or gameplay-wise, telling people exactly what's coming, what the game is, and what you're trying to do. I promise you, even if we disagree with it, we will be more open to things than if, like, again, they say, they market it wrong for Halo 5 and it comes out and people are like, what the hell is this? This is completely different. Like, just tell us what you're doing or what your plans are. Exactly. Transparency goes both ways because if your players are willing to trust you and you have good communication and a good two-way system, it's so much easier to get people to help you figure out what to do right. And again, it's just listening to listening to your buyers, your fans, your customers know best. They will tell you what's wrong, and most of the time they're right. Just listen to them. But yeah, if they market Halo Infinite as anything other than it is, I will be so upset because you can't do that at all.
So there's the problem that comes with not marketing, like having nothing and people wanting something, and then it's like, okay, so if you do start marketing, make sure that whatever you're putting out there is representative of the final product. That was the big issue with Halo 5. It's just they got us all worked up for a campaign that really wasn't that. It was more of a Michael Bay movie on rails, right? So Yeah, so kind of making sure that whatever they do come up with, it's transparent, it follows through, and the game is what we expect, and that's the thing too. Maybe that's kind of why they're taking more time with it. They only gave us that tease, and it was a very safe tease, and it was enough to get everybody excited. There's no Halo fan
still hyped. I can't wait.
That's honestly, so that's kind of what you have to respect there. Is I feel like there's no Halo fan who looked at that thick daddy Master Chief and dislikes that. You know what I mean?
No, I saw the Halo ring. I was so happy. I saw the Halo ring. I was like, you say less, I will spend $100 on the special edition. I don't care. Just give me this. That's the thing. Like I love what they put out. I just want more. I just want something else to keep me going, because I've watched that thing like 100 times, and I'm like, dude, really? I want to see, because again, this is where it's like, this is where your and I love for Halo comes out. I saw this and I'm like, I want to see what you guys are doing, because you guys are clearly, this is great. I want to see what your vision is here. I just need something else. I need maybe some game, even if it's just like a quick, like 30-second Chiefs walking. I don't care. Yeah. Show me something that I could be like, holy fuck, here comes Halo again. Like right here, like the guy's walking through, man. It's so beautiful. And the helmet, the armor, just inject it. Just give it to me. I love this. Put this. This was my background on my desktop for like 6 months. Just give it to, dude. I love this. Just give me this. But I just don't know what they're doing yet. So
yeah, you know what? Yeah, I think you're right. I wish we had more. To be honest, maybe we wouldn't be starved for it if everything with Halo Reach was going really well. I think it's everything. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, sure, we don't have marketing right now. The game could still come out this year. They could still do marketing. It could still be amazing. But if that's not happening, then okay, let's take advantage of the opportunities that we have with the current games at your disposal, with Halo Reach, with Halo 5, and let's support them. Let's get the pros and the AMs involved and make us feel like we're working towards something that's going to blow up, that's going to succeed. And that's not there either. So just give it to us in some area here, so that we're not left feeling like we're in the dark. We don't know where it's going to go. And currently things aren't so great. So people are just, the negative emotions are coming in. Nobody wants that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've been looking around, and there are a lot of people with a lot of great ideas on how to improve things and how to ensure that Halo is successful in the esports side of things. Looking on Twitter, there was this Australian player, Berserk, who made a video recently talking about just when Halo Infinite drops, that they need open events right out the gate, right? So you got like Australia, Japan, France, England, Germany, Mexico, America, Canada, all the big kind of main regions need to be supported. More incentive for them to play and to continue to play and compete in these games. Consistent online cups, this is huge, right? And having little amounts of money, something to keep us going, and across all these regions, right? And a 32-team Worlds that he brought up, which I thought was pretty cool too. Right. Get more teams in these big events. So
16 World Cups that makes no. It's just at that point it's an invitational. Just make it like Call of Duty has. Just because again I'm speaking from experience. Like the first of all, Halo, when Halo is clearly it's a United States favorite. Like it's, if you look at games and like the regions, like League of Legends is Europe and Asia. Like Call of Duty and Halo are North America huge. Gears of War was US Mexico, huge, actually. And then it shipped with the original Xbox to Mexico, and that's why that's their game. The Halo is like it was America's game when it came out. If you want support across the globe, again, you have, because it's not like inherently driven into their gaming culture, you need to give them incentives again. So like online qualifiers, cups, money they can play for that actually gives them a reason to get on, to want to become a Halo pro if they will have that drive. Like a champs. One, having a little bit of a slight, a big venue, can't have a backyard, want an actual venue, good production as well, obviously, but you need more than 16 teams. That's an invitational, man. That doesn't work. That doesn't work these days. Like Call of Duty events have, at one point it was like we had 128 open bracket teams playing for 4 slots to make it into the actual pool play,
which so was exclusive.
Which was like 32 pro teams. So like there was people, like you would see like underdogs taking a match or series off of like, oh my god, back in the day it was like a Curse Black or a Curse Las Vegas, and that was huge. We're like, holy crap, like this game. And even if they wouldn't go that far, it was still incentive. Like getting teams involved builds natural hype, builds natural support for the game. You get people playing it. It's champs. It's the biggest event in esports, whatever scene you're in. It's your biggest event. You can have 16 teams. You need as many as possible. Like honestly, even if they said we have 64 teams in pools, I don't know how the hell that would work, but fuck it, let's do it. Like you can't have an invitational size event for a champs. That can't work. It can't just be pros. Like you need to have a bracket play. You need pools. Then you need you need open bracket, obviously. You need pools, and then from there you need like your seeding and all that shit. Like you need to have, again, this all stems to support in other regions. I agree with you. Having a little bit of money to play for incentive, but having pushed incentives and events in other countries will help push Halo around. Like even if that means having an event in London. I know they've sometimes done it. I'm not too clear on the whole Halo timeline in terms of like the past decade, but I know they've sometimes done events in other countries. You need to have more of that. I think that's really important. Even if it's just in London or Australia or something, get people involved wanting to come to these events. That's how you build a fan base. Like it has to happen.
Yeah, I completely agree. I know that, like, in the end of the day, Halo esports is like one small piece of the pie, and that's the thing too. Is Halo's so massive? They got so much to work on and focus on. It's like, can that attention be given to esports when the sales numbers is more casuals by a long shot, right? Mm-hmm. But it's the pros who continue to play the games. It's the pros who are on Twitch who are inspiring massive audiences of people to get into the game. And these are the guys who are so dedicated and so hardcore. They buy the special editions, or they buy all of the passes to go to the events. They buy the skins and stuff. Something I really liked, which our conversation's going all over the place here. But when I was watching COD League, they have full team skins or whatever. They got jackets with their logos. I think that would be really cool too. It's just like more ways for people who love the esports scene to support it and have like a full. You don't need to go too crazy. Like I'm just imagining, like, let's say like Splice armor, where it's like jet black, a couple of yellow highlights, and then remember the shoulder pads. The shoulder, you used to put like you put your emote, like a Triforce or whatever the heck you want. You put it on your shoulder.
Even if you have
Splice logo, whatever. Like that'd be so sick.
Like for each team, like you have like you have like a specific equipment that only like certain teams get. Like let's say Splice has a specific armor piece, or like Optic had a specific like head mask. Like there's ways to do it, because like this, again, esports and sports are very similar. People come into your esport and people get attracted by personalities. Personalities are what drive people to be inspired, to start watching, to get engaged.
I hope that these larger companies are realizing that. You know, like that's why you're putting millions of dollars are going into Ninja and Shroud and acquiring them on Mixer. That's what's selling your games content now. That's your marketing now. Honestly, it's like
like people like a Scump is a perfect example of someone who, like, even if the game isn't that great, people tune in. Hundreds of thousands of people tune in to watch him because he's a personality.
That dude was so great on the desk, by the way.
Oh my god,
I watched him on the desk.
I love him. He's a personality. He's got when he was on Optic. This is how you have good personalities, which Halo has. But again, the scene, I think this also falls on the Halo pros. There needs to be more content creation, streaming, all that stuff. Everyone needs to be involved in this. For Scump, you had Optic when he was on Optic. Even now with Chicago, you had Optic fans, you had Scump fans, and you had Optic Scump fans. People who were fans of his, whether or not they liked the team, and if he went somewhere else and they were Optic fans, they would follow him. Like, you have to have a personality.
You can play another game altogether.
Doesn't matter. Exactly. You need some people who inspire, which we have those in Halo. You need people who make good content, who have good personalities that you could follow, someone to look up to, someone you think is like, dude, I just want to be like Scump, or I want to be like Lethal, or I want to be like Snakebite. Like, there are stand-up personalities like that in Halo, but they're very subdued, and I know that for a fact. Like, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to understand that. Even if myself has just been consumed by COD for a decade, I've been following Halo. I come in. There's no aura over one player. There's no that when they walk in, they're larger than the game itself. We have that in other esports. We have that in Call of Duty. We have that in Rocket League. We have that in person. Right? There's nothing like that in Halo right now. No one. Snakebite's a great guy, and he's just started getting into content creation, which I love. But there needs to be someone to step up and take over the mantle of, I am the Halo player. There's a lifestyle that you could follow that I do, and there's an aura about me that's larger than the game, than the scene itself. We need something like that in Halo. That needs to come in. Like Walshy was that guy. We need something like Yeah.
We had T Squared, and then I mean Ninja, who blew up. I got to give big props to Nated though, who Nated's still doing very well with what he's got. He's doing incredibly well with the small audience that we have. So he's doing
someone to
amazing
transcend
stuff.
The game like those guys.
Yeah, and the thing is that kind of trend. So we need content. There's a clear issue there, but I feel like that only happens if the pros genuinely love the game and if they feel like it's a game that is designed for them. It's that they had some hand in the creation of, and that's why we got our pro team or whatever. They have a pro team contributing to Halo Infinite, and hopefully that product is something everybody likes. But when they love the game, they're passionate about it, then bigger projects come, the content comes, the teams come. You get guys like Hector Rodriguez who make the who really kick things off, like your Optic Gaming and whatnot, and then that's where your population comes from. And then it doesn't matter if the follow-up games it always matters if they're good or not. But it's like COD continues to be such like a world-renowned success because these creators keep it alive. Like they keep
absolutely.
it going.
Like when
and that's why we have a franchise league for it. Yeah.
Like I know people who didn't even really like or follow Halo, but they would watch because the Optic Halo players were playing, and they liked the Optic guys because they were in the content that Hex was making. Like that's what you need. You need someone who, even if the game sucks, man, make content, stream, do something to engage, to build your brand, because you need to invest in the scene for it to invest in you. You have to. Like, just that's crucial, man.
Not expecting a lot of that to happen yet. Just with the current situation. I mean, I don't know how Halo CE, Halo 2, like maybe let's say we get Halo 2 anniversary or Halo 3, and then that gives us a bit of a boom. I'm not sure if that'll really inspire people or something, or you get a couple PC streamers who loved Halo back in the day. They come back, they like it.
We just need a new game, honestly.
Yeah, I think Infinite's going to be the thing, right? And I hope that people get into this creation before that. You don't just wait for it to come out and then just start trying to figure it out. Maybe, build the skills, the repertoire now, and maybe you're not getting very many views, but just consider the fact that this is your foundation, right? You're going to be ready. You'll be ready for when Infinite comes out.
This is the time to work the overtime and double time to secure the foundation. But honestly, I think a lot of these things stem from the fact that it's been 5-6 years. We need a new game. We need something.
And too long.
But we got to stream something. Man.
And there's so many little things, and these Halo games that are out are still great. But that's an issue too. Is like there's Reach and there's Halo 5. I'm currently playing Halo 5 because I personally like to play Halo 5 more than I like to play Reach. But there's no tournaments in the Halo 5 side, so we're fractured. We're a small community as it is, and we're playing all these different games. And it's just Infinite bringing everything together and hopefully being what we want could change things dramatically. And I hope it happens. It's just when things aren't going too well and you see somebody like Moses tweeting every single day all the bad news and ripping into people, he's real.
He keeps it real. I love it. Yeah, it's.
I know he loves Halo and he wants what's best for Halo in the end of the day. He's just he won't hold back on the punches if he wants to throw them.
Look, you need someone like that in the community to keep everyone grounded. Like you always need that guy because he's the one who will tell you how it is and how to fix things. Like there's gonna be when Halo Infinite comes out, I'm gonna be streaming that 24/7. I don't play on sleep. But I need I've streamed Master Chief Collection. I've had lag issues, so I haven't done it as much. But we need something new. Halo Infinite is like it's coming. Like I need it. We need something to stream. And while we're all engaged and wrapped up in it, I'm counting on him to be able to bring us down to earth and be like, hey, these are things that need to be fixed right away. And that's what we need. So it's honestly, we have Halo, and I'm speaking as we because I've been a lifelong Halo fan. It's my favorite game ever. Halo 3 is the reason I bought an Xbox 360 when I was 12. At this point, we as Halo fans and we as a Halo community, we have all the right pieces to be the MLG Halo 2008 days, 2007 days. We can do that again. We have to do it right. We have all the pieces together. But we need someone to start putting them together, and when we can all start jumping in and gluing everything together. It's going to take a couple of months, possibly a couple of years, but we're on a good track. We just need to all work together to do this, and we can do it. It's going to take communication and support from the top down, and that'll invest itself into the community and the amateurs and the pros and the content creators and all that shit. So,
Right. It's interesting time right now. They are, a lot of people feel like they're being left in the dark on things, and it seems like that. We do have our event coming up. We got Anaheim. I just hope that the mistakes that are coming up, this is all something that they're learning from and they're recognizing, and that when Infinite comes out, there aren't any more mistakes. Everything's prepared. We've got the roadmap. That sounds very exciting. As far as marketing goes, right? We want to have marketing, but when they have it, transparency in what we're going to get. Just what we've come to expect at this point. And they hear us at this. Like, I feel like
I know
finally 343 and Microsoft, I think they recognize the importance of the competitive scene. And I feel like there's finally some cohesion. There's communication between the pros, between the community and the developers, and it's happening. It's just happening slowly, and Infinite is not that far away. So
yeah, I know. Real quick, because I know we've gone on a lot of different topics today.
Ready to wrap it.
Yeah, but real quick, and this is a point that summarizes everything.
Yeah.
To any 343 or Microsoft person who may see this at some point, please trust the pros. Please trust the competitive scene. That's what I'll say, because I understand, and this is for every game. Call of Duty does the same thing. It's for every game that's ever been focused about, like, the casuals bringing the numbers. We know that. The casuals bringing the numbers. They always have. They always will. Competitive usually doesn't get as much shine or as much support as it should. And we understand that we're a niche market and only us really care about it. But I'm telling you, look at Overwatch. They built the game from the ground up on competitive, and it became one of the fastest selling, highest watched competitive games and casually played games ever. Counter-Strike, same way. Came out as competitive, and it's got Overwatch and Counter-Strike have one of the largest casual player bases ever. I am telling you, listen to the pro scene. Listen to your competitive players. I understand you're scared and you don't know about it's not about it's not really return on investment. I get it, but you have no idea how much of a change will come if you invest in the competitive scene, how the casuals will come into play, and how that'll change everything. I promise you, it's worth it. Just listen to us. We know how to do this. We've been doing this for years. We know this. Just please, for the love of God, listen to us and actually give us a trailer for Halo Infinite. I swear to God. So that's all I got.
I hear you, man. I hear you. I understand and respect the need to make bold improvements and innovations in Halo, and that's something that 343 is going to want to do. In the end of the day, it's their baby. But you're right. If the pros love the game and the personalities love the game, these are the ones who are the most important. They deliver the message, and that's the message that the community then perpetuates. And then the game becomes that. It becomes that message. So I think that's huge. You got to get people, like the top players or have the platforms, like somebody like a Ninja, to come back and be like, damn, Halo is great again. And then there you go. All the Fortnite kids will come over. Hopefully not. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, no building in Halo, hopefully. Well, I don't know. I hope they don't take that route. Anyway.
If they do that, we're lost, dude.
Anyway, I agree that I think, I'm praying here, got my hands together. Hopefully it's a comeback. I think it's possible that Halo Infinite could make the comeback and maybe not be back on top, but could really, really explode.
Halo can make waves
in a very short period of time. It can make waves. There's everybody important in this industry today. They all came from Halo. They all love Halo.
Dude, everyone, like even CS:GO, you talk to people and they're like, "Yeah, I played Halo when I first started." Yeah,
it just has to happen right, and it's got to start happening soon because we're waiting here. We're getting hungry. It's Thank you so much, Sean, for joining me today. That's everything.
Thanks for having me, man. It was great.
Great discussion, and hopefully the next time we interact, it's celebrating the success of this game and this franchise.
We can do this, bro. We can do this. I know we can. We can do this.
I agree, man. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, buddy.
No problem. And thank you, everyone, for watching today's episode of HCS Weekly. If you guys enjoyed the show and you want to see more, make sure to check out the full VOD that will go up on YouTube very soon. Within a day or so, we'll have it up on youtube.com/UGC events. You can also listen to this on the go on Spotify, on Google Play, on all your podcast apps. We should hopefully have it up there as well. I want to listen to these on the fly and, add improvements and make sure you guys are enjoying the show. Anyway, that's all we got for today. See you guys again next week. Thank you so much for joining me.